Hi everybody. So in this lesson we're going to be talking about how to make line charts with ggplot2. Line charts are usually your best bet when you want to show a trend in your data. Sometimes I'll see students trying to show a trend with bar charts. That can work on occasion, but usually it doesn't. Usually a line chart is your best bet if you want to show a trend over time. So the example we're going to be working through is based on the varieties of democracy data set. We're going to be selecting three countries that illustrate Samuel Huntington's three waves of democratization. So we're going to be looking specifically at the United States, which represents the first wave of democratization, Japan, which represents the second wave of democratization that occurred after World War II, and Portugal, which was the first country or one of the first countries to democratize in the third wave starting in the 1970s. So let's go ahead and get started here. So we'll go to our modules file, our module 1.2 Quarto document. And we'll just call this line charts. And then we'll just write a little something about what we're going to do here. In this section, we are going to build a line chart that illustrates Samuel Huntington's three waves of democratization. The first thing we are going to do is to gather our data from the VDEM data set. So we'll go ahead and label this chunk data, VDEM data, and we are going to call, first of all, the VDEM data package so that we can pull the data from the VDEM data set. And then we're going to store our data that we pull from VDEM in an object called demwaves. And we're going to call the VDEM function there, which again just pulls the whole VDEM data set and gives it to us. So we're going to have to select and filter the data set in order to work with it. So first we're going to select the country name, and we're going to rename that in the process country. Then we're going to select the year, and then we're going to select the polyarchy score, which in the data set is, the code is v2x underscore polyarchy. Okay, and we get some nice autocomplete there from the package. Then let's pipe that into a filter verb, and let's filter country for the three countries that we want to work with. So we're going to do percent in percent, that is the in operator that will select everything that's in this combine function that we're going to type out here. So we'll write combine, C parentheses, and we're going to write the names of the three countries that we want in that function. So United States of America, Japan, Portugal. And we could have also done this with VDEM country codes, but this way is a little bit more intuitive. Since it's only three countries, this is fine. Okay, we can go ahead and run that, but actually before we do that, let's go ahead and save this for future use, because we are going to make use of this in the next lesson. I'll tell you why in a little bit. And we'll go ahead and save this as we're going along. as a CSV in our data folder. All right, and let's run that and see if it works. Save it and run it. Didn't like our write CSV call here. Oh, we saved it as we called it dem waves instead of dem waves countries. Okay, so let's change that and let's run that again. And so now we have some nice data to play with. Let's go ahead and glimpse that data real quick just to make sure everything looks good. We'll just type it in the console here, dem waves countries. Country Japan, year, and then the polyarchy score. That looks approximately right, and let's go ahead and have a look at it in just by calling view here. Japan, year, polyarchy. So these data, as you can see, go all the way back to the 18th century. And so that will be apt for showing a long trend. So Japan, United States, and Portugal, all of that looks good. Okay, so let's type a little text here. We'll say next, we are going to build a line chart. All right, and we'll put another code chunk in there. We'll label this waves chart, and we'll go ahead and do our ggplot call. The data we're working with is dem underscore waves underscore countries, CTRS. Then for our mapping, we're going to map year, polyarchy. So year is going to be on the x-axis, polyarchy is going to be on the y-axis. And we are going to distinguish our lines. We're going to have a third aesthetic here, which is going to be color. So we're going to distinguish our lines based on color. So each country is going to be a different color. So color equals country. And then from there, we want to add our geom. And our geom this time, you guessed it, is going to be a line, geom underscore line. And we can go ahead and set the line width to 1 so that it's a little bit thicker than the default. And let's go ahead and run that and see what that looks like. And that looks pretty good. That shows the United States transitioning to democracy, or its democracy score increasing first, then Japan in the immediate post-war period, and then Portugal, like we said, in the 1970s as part of that third wave of democratization. Let's go ahead and add some labels. X equals year, Y equals polyarchy score, title equals democracy in countries representing 3 different waves. Because we already have these double quotes here, we'll use single quotes for the title. We need a comma after that. Then we'll put a caption. Struggling with the typing here. And color equals country. There we go. All right, and let's go ahead and run that. Okay, one thing I want to note here, the reason that we save these data is because we're going to want to go back to this in the next lesson and fix this color scheme. There's a problem with this color scheme in that we have red and green together, and that's not good for people with color blindness. But that's going to be the subject of module 2.2. From here, the last thing I want to show you is that, another option, like let's say we don't want to use a color scheme at all. We can also change the aesthetic up here so that instead of color we have line type, and that will give us different types of lines, like a dotted line, a dashed line, a solid line, and that way we can, you know, distinguish between the countries with the line type. Okay. But notice here, actually, one thing I didn't talk about earlier is that I had added to the labels call this color equals country, and that was to change the name, the title of the legend, which was in lowercase. But obviously that doesn't work anymore if we're not using color. So here we should change this. If we're changing the aesthetic from color to line type, we should also change this from color to line type in the labs function. Okay, there we go. So now we have a legend with country with a capital C rather than lowercase c. Okay, so that's how you make a line chart. And for the last part of this module, in the next lesson, we're going to learn how to do scatter plots. See you in the next lesson.